So I just watched Black Widow, and I gotta say, a lot of the things people are saying about it, they're unfair. First things first though, this movie, it was a long time coming, okay? The original release date was scheduled for May of 2020.
And then, the funniest thing happened.
Black Widow suffered two major delays, which means the movie that was supposed to be the opener for Phase 4 of the MCU now has 2.5 shows coming out before it, and it left audiences waiting for over a year and a half. And I hear a lot of people holding that against the Black Widow movie, that it was too little too late. But I gotta disagree. Although I don't think the movie was necessarily worth another year and a half wait, you really cannot hold delays against a film. That's just blatantly unfair. And now that all of that's out of the way, let's actually get into the plot of Black Widow. Black Widow is a spy thriller that takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War and attempts to add a little bit of humanity to the late, great Natasha Romanoff. It begins with her on the run from General Thunderbolt Ross due to her helping Captain America during Civil War. But that plotline doesn't last too long as Yelena, Natasha's fake old little sister, shows up. It's complicated. Anyways, Yelena shows up and tells Black Widow that the Red Room, the agency that trained them, is still around. That'd be like Peter Parker finding out that the spider that bit him was still alive, but evil and kind of controlling helpless woman. Okay, maybe it's not like Spider-Man, but you get my point. Anyways, right? The entire time Black Widow and Yelena are tracking down the Red Room is sending people after them as well. This ranges from other widows to a special agent known as Taskmaster. And this is where the real complaints start rolling in. People really don't seem to like this version of Taskmaster, and a lot of them are claiming that it's because this Taskmaster differs too much from their comic book counterpart. But in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. Look, the MCU has never really been accurate to the comics in the first place, and sometimes entire characters are just shifted around. I mean, we all remember the Iron Patriot, right? So as long as they at least do something interesting, I usually don't mind movies deviating certain characters from their source material. Again, that is certain characters, and only if they try something interesting. And I think they really did. In this movie, Taskmaster is basically a corpse being moved around in a mechanical suit of armor. Not really dead, but definitely not alive. If they just double down on that kind of body horror aspect and how creepy this character really is, I think more people might appreciate it. But it's just as much who's behind the mask. It's actually a young girl that Natasha thought she had killed in one of her previous missions. Honestly, Taskmaster in this movie is basically the Winter Soldier. A masked assassin coming at you, trying to kill you, and then when the mask is off, you find out it's somebody from your past you thought had perished, but they're brainwashed and don't know what they're doing. And how can you be mad at getting another Winter Soldier? This character is awesome, stop hating on it. I know it's nothing like the comic books, but hey, maybe we'll get a comic-accurate Taskmaster sometime in the future. Who knows? Another thing I hear people complain about is that this was an unnecessary entry in the MCU at this time. I tend to disagree. We've only ever seen Black Widow in team-ups, and often she's usually not even the main focus. So, giving her her own movie feels very necessary, since we've been with this character for roughly 10 years and still know very little about her background. Look, should the Black Widow movie have come before Natasha's canonical death? Duh, yeah, of course. But I'm still glad it happened. This movie attempts to go back and inject life into a character that's usually just used for eye candy and cool fight scenes in this franchise. This movie was a good idea, and it does everything it was trying to do. It was a fun spy thriller that had a decent twist and got emotional when it needed to get emotional. Hell, Black Widow is basically Diet Captain America 2. I really don't see why people are hating on this film. My only real complaint is that they didn't do enough with Yelena and Natasha's fake parents, and they really didn't focus on the fact that the mom is still working for the Red Room to this day. Like, yes, she helped take it down, but that's not really a proper redemption. She needed more to her character, and honestly, that just would have come with more screen time. Overall, I rate Black Widow a 4 out of 7. Is it great? Kind of. It's not perfect, but I like it. And when people say that this film was too little too late, it really gets to me. Because at the end of the day, Black Widow was exactly what it was trying to be. A decent Marvel movie. Hey, I just thought of this. Now that we've gone back and saw what Natasha was doing after Civil War, it's totally believable that we could get a Black Widow 2 and finally find out what happened in Budapest.
Those foundations are gone, sorry.
Never mind. No, I take it back. Scarlett's not coming back after that one, but good for her. Get that money. She was totally screwed over.